Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, network. Welcome to the latest episode of Hiring in HD, the bite-sized content where I get to throw questions and scenarios from the hottest topics of the hiring world at some of the best team leaders and business owners that we've got in the industry today. If you agree or disagree with any of what you hear, please let us know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed it, give us a like, but most of all, don't be afraid to get involved in the conversations. So a massive welcome to Elliott, who's the MD of Kayman Recruitment. Elliott, how are you, mate? You well?
I'm very well, mate. How are you doing?
I'm good. Bit of a scenario for yourself then, Elliott, that we're seeing a lot at the minute is a lot of agencies losing their staff to internal teams that are offering huge salaries and salaries that they can't match. What can agencies do to stop that? And, you know, what are the advantages of working for an agency rather than internal, for example?
Working in agency for me is all about the OTE, what you can earn throughout the year, you know, and the ability and that want and that drive to succeed in that space. If you haven't got that and it's not something that gets you out of bed every morning, you know, but you enjoy recruitment, then go and do it. You know, that's my view on it. You know, if you love recruiting and it's a good space to be in and you know you're good at it, but you're not really driven by how much you can earn at the end of next month and how much you can earn at the end of the year, and you want the bigger house, the bigger cars, like, that's the difference to me. And I see a lot of recruiters doing it, and that's cool. Like, go for it. You know, you can earn good money in it. For example, in the US, you know, you could earn six-figure salaries in internal corporate roles, and be, you know, really comfortable. But, you know, then there's a recruiter that's sitting in the same amount of experience that will earn still double that because the commission's far more greater, and that's what drives them. So I guess it just is, you know, what's the motive? And if that's not your motive, then internals, you know, the other kind of option, I think.
Is there anything that an agency can do to stop that from losing their staff to these big salaries that internals are offering and that kind of thing now?
I'm going to say no. I'm going to be honest and say no. And I've thought about this a hell of a lot, and I've seen it over the last year, especially. I think ultimately, I don't think that they can prevent it, because if they haven't got, you can't make someone want to earn money. You can't make somebody have that drive and intention to be successful. If they've either, in my opinion, either got it or they haven't. And if they want to go and do internal, then let them go and do internal, because they're not going to make you the money that you need to be a successful business. And sitting around the corner is a consultant called Bill that's, you know, wants to, you know, he wants to drive a Mercedes and he wants to go to Ibiza 2-3 times a year and he wants a big house and he's only 23 years old. You know, like, there's that person that is going to go in and want to work really hard and wants to see those 10K a month commission checks. You can't put a striker or a football player in goal. You know, it's not his position. That's not what they do. They don't. You can't make them do that, because it's not going to. They're not going to be happy. And you want to have a business environment with happy people and culture. So that's most important.
My next question is actually about recruitment agencies themselves hiring. And as a rhetoric yourself, what do you think is the biggest mistake recruitment agencies make when looking to hire internally?
When a lot of businesses at the minute have been bringing people in, they're looking for consultants. They're looking for 360 recruiters, billers. They want people to grow and build their business. That's great. What for? What's the desk? What opportunity do you have mapped out in your business? What's the strategy? So I think that when someone comes in, what a lot of people are seeing, or I've seen at the minute through interview processes, they're not getting the answers of, you know, we want you to come in and we want you to work on a contract desk focusing on front end development. We've got 16 clients that have got roles coming through, and the specifics, you know, going into the detail. And I think that if they can actually present the strategy around what they want, then that's going to attract a lot more people. A lot of businesses are selling themselves, in my opinion, on they're a fantastic business, you know, they're an award-winning company, come and work for us, you know, we need you, we want you, etc. And they're pushing up that marketing. Well, that's great. But when that goes on LinkedIn and social media, those recruiters they're just going to sit there and be like, all right, cool, another recruitment company's hiring, you know, they're the best, obviously, you know, better than where I am. But I think what they need to see is what they're hiring for. Because if you want to bring in more front-end development recruiters or front office or construction, whatever it is may be, and you've got an attractive opportunity for them as in a desk, put that out there. That's what they should be advertising. And I think they're sort of failing on doing that a lot more. But also separate to that, if I had a separate answer, is a bit more content about their business, you know, a brochure. Put some investment and some money and a few hundred quid into a digital online brochure that markets who they are as a brand, what they're willing to offer, what they're doing as a business, and really kind of utilize that information to attract the candidate and send that out when they're approaching them with a message, an email. This is who we are. This is what we're all about. Is it arrogance? I don't know. I think it's more, in my opinion, of just not being, I'm going to use the word, and then I'm just again, my opinion, just laziness of just not wanting to do it. And then, and actually thinking that, we don't need it. It's not necessary. We'll send out. You do need it, and it's really necessary, because when I send out options to a recruiter that have a company profile such like brochure that explains who they are as a business, I'm certain that candidate will be more interested in that company than me just sending out, here's a web link, have a look at them, let me know what you think. It doesn't tell them anything.
Let's just say you've been approached by a candidate that wants to move on and get a new role. The problem is that candidate that's approached you is currently working for one of your clients. How do you go about that? Do you keep it anonymous? Do you go to the client and tell them that one's maybe looking to leave? How would you manage it?
There's two ways. I would never, ever, ever, ever go to a client and say, this person's looking, by the way, they've approached me, because that's just terrible, and you can't do that. And if someone has done that and does do that, then don't do it. It's bad ethics. There's two ways to look at it. You either make a decision of, do I want to work with that candidate because I've got such a strong relationship with my client that I just feel terrible and it's not a good thing to do, and you just kind of learn to walk away from it, which I'm going to be honest with you, would probably very, 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 very rarely happen as a recruiter. Or do you work with them because they've come to you and you've got nothing in your kind of contract that says, you can't work with anyone that's come to you directly. If you ask, if you have a room of 10 recruiters and you ask them the answer for this, they'll work with that candidate. As long as you haven't headhunted them, you've not enticed them away, you've not done given them any reason to come to you, and they've just called you out the blue and said, look, I'm looking. You should be able to work with that candidate. It's as simple as that. And that's always kind of been the way it's been, how it is in recruitment.
Another question I wanted to ask you is, obviously, it's actually to do with candidates and their personal life and their social media. Where do you think the line is? Obviously, it's natural now for an employer to want to learn a little bit more about their candidates and maybe look at their social media presence and that kind of stuff. But where is the line drawn? Do you think that they're allowed to go into Instagrams and get to know personal lives and Facebooks and that kind of stuff? Is there a line there, or is it sort of fair game as well?
Fair game. There's no line. That's what social media is for, and if it's on the internet, then it's kind of access, and it's open access. You can do what you want. If that person's not locked their page and not hidden it for whatever reason, then that's up to them. That's fine. So if you're not put it on private, then and someone wants to look it up, and they can do it. I suppose it's there for that reason, right? And there's a lot of businesses that I've put a lot of candidates out there that have been rejected because of their sort of backgrounds and, social media and who they are and how they've kind of perceived. And, it is what it is. That's kind of the world that we live in, unfortunately. If there's a recruiter that we pick up and we want to send them to a company that's quite cool, fresh, modern, outspoken, busy with social media, and that candidate has never done a post or status on the LinkedIn before, that will get noticed. That will get noticed. They're obviously not very active and loud and doing enough to push their presence out there, which some companies won't hire them because of that, because they're not going to do the same for them.
Awesome. Final question then, Elliot, which we ask everyone. You're starting a new business venture tomorrow, and you can have any business partner you wish, past or present, or any walk of life, just someone that you're not currently working with. Who would be your dream business partner?
And it's going to sound weird, but somebody like a Anne Middleton kind of person who's got that kind of crazy drive mentally, personally, rather than that business ethic. I've got the business ethic. I know how to recruit. I know how to do my job. I know how to do it as well as I can. I know how to try and keep up with the times. But from a motivational kind of mindset, physical element, all that kind of stuff, someone like him to work with would be, someone I would want around me to help me with that. And just say different, right? Everyone kind of comes out with the little sugars, the Richard Bransons, the Elon Musks and all them kind of people. That's cool. Like, I think that they're great, but then something that I want and need, I suppose, as I'm sure anyone would openly admit, from the last 2 years or 18 months of what we've gone through, someone like him would be not a bad person to be around, who's shouting down my ear all the time.
Elliot, thank you very much for joining me, mate. Thanks for your time. I hope you enjoyed it.
Pleasure. No, I loved it. Absolutely loved it. Great questions. And hopefully there's some good, insightful info out there for people in your network.
Mate, definitely. There'll be some takeaways in there. But thanks again, mate.
Pleasure. No worries. Thank you very much.